Morning. Working on Big Magic today. We are almost done with this book, if you could believe that. Oh, you fell down. Hi. Let me see if I can find a better place to put this. Oh my gosh. We're a little, what am I looking for? Discombobulated. Hang on. A little discombobulated today. Sorry. Hi. Make y'all motion sick. Oops. Can you tell I forgot the right... I made it! The twins have been a little needy today, as I'm sure you know, since you have twin nieces. When they're both needy at the same time, not much gets done until they are done being needy. So, I think they're good for now. They needed to play outside for a little bit and have some snacks, and now they're watching a little Sesame Street. Yeah, they come first, or there is hell to pay. So, my name's Michelle Wolf. You can find me at caddyshackdesigns.com. There's a blog post up today about claiming your personal power, your power to create. These things that we've been talking about now for a couple of months. About how important it is to create regardless, and how important it is to not compare your creations to other people's creations. I don't know. I can't answer that question fully. That's part of where my thoughts were this morning is my head is tangled up about that, and I don't know why. And so I was wondering where my sense of personal power had gone. Good morning! And over situations, you know, how you can like feel victimized by situations that are, I mean, it's completely not relevant to the situation. Good morning! So I was having those kinds of thoughts when I thought about how we've talked a lot about jealousy, other people creating and we're not, or we think other people are creating the cool stuff and our creations are, you know, garbage or crap or whatever. And it occurred to me in thinking through this process of the cat. Oh, yeah, because my head's all tangled up about this cat situation. And there really is no situation. So I'm like, what is the problem in your head? What is going on in your head? And I don't have an answer to that yet. Yeah, aha, duh. Yeah, today, so, you know, I was thinking about that this morning, and I was having a conversation with my mom Saturday on the way home. He's still not feeling well, so I put them together a little bit yesterday, but he was obviously still so depleted from being starved and dehydrated that I didn't push it. I think they will probably be fine, but he needs to eat and rest and restore himself first before I stress him out. So I felt kind of bad that I even tried it. Yeah, he's still eating and sleeping a lot. He's clearly been traumatized. His chest has been shaved, like somebody took the clippers to him. There's no injury that I can see, but, you know, I don't know what he's been through, but he is missing most of his hair on his chest. There's just a little fuzz grown back. So, yeah, you know, who knows? He's resting. He's happy. He purrs a lot, but anyway, when we're jealous of other people or when we think they're doing stuff that's cooler than our stuff, it's just because we've forgotten that we have the power to do whatever we want. If you're on Mike Dooley's mailing list, it's called what's it called? Something from Notes from the Universe. Today's was a reminder that you can have anything you want, you can do anything you want, and you just have to remember that even if things take time, even if decisions are difficult, it's important to take the time and just sit with the difficulty, because as long as it's difficult, you're either not in your power or you don't have all the information that you need. Like, there may be missing pieces, and you can't make a decision, and you're running in circles in your head because there's just information that's not there yet. And part of the confusion is a need to wait and make sure you have all the information before making decisions. Like, if you find yourself trying to make a decision and you're just stuck in confusion or an endless loop, it can be helpful to ask yourself, so have I forgotten that I'm a powerful being that has some control over how I get through life? Or is there missing information here that I need to allow time in the situation for the information to develop? Does that make sense? So that's where my thoughts went on the personal power. And if you're feeling like a victim, you know that's not true. You know it's not true. So when you catch yourself stuck in that victim space of feeling like you have no control in a situation or things are just out of hand, you've just forgotten. You just have fallen asleep. So there's no need to like bash on yourself for falling into a victim mindset, and there's no need to get all crazy and up in your own face. Happy Monday! It just take a moment to remember that usually there's a lot more time than you think there is, and ultimately the power lies within you yourself. You can get advice from other people, and it's so helpful to do that, to process through information, and then ultimately you have to make the decisions yourself. And it's not always easy, especially when you're talking about other living creatures and other living people. So that's where things can get harder. So last time we talked about being a martyr or being a trickster, and the trickster is way more fun. And the next chapter is trickster trust, because trust is really what we're talking about here too, right? You have to trust that you do have personal power. Some people don't. Especially early in their journey, they don't know how much personal power they have, especially if life has victimized them harshly or repeatedly. Then the personal power piece can be hard to find. It's there. So let's talk about trickster trust. It's a little hard to say. I believe that the original human impulse for creativity was born out of pure trickster energy. Creativity wants to flip the mundane world upside down, turn it inside out, and that's exactly what a trickster does best. But somewhere in the last few centuries, creativity got kidnapped by the martyrs, and it's been held hostage ever since. It's been held hostage in their camp of suffering ever since. I believe this turn of events has left art feeling very sad. It's definitely left a lot of artists feeling very sad. It's time to get creativity back to the tricksters, is what I say. The trickster is obviously a charming and subversive figure, but for me, the most wonderful thing about a good trickster is that he trusts. It may seem counterintuitive to suggest this because he can seem so slippery and shady, but the trickster is full of trust. He trusts himself, obviously. He trusts his own cunning, his own right to be here, his own ability to land on his feet in any situation. To a certain extent, of course, he also trusts other people, in that he trusts them to be marks for his shrewdness. But mostly the trickster trusts the universe. He trusts in its chaotic, lawless, ever-fascinating ways, and for this reason he does not suffer from undue anxiety. He trusts that the universe is in constant play, and specifically that it wants to play with him. A good trickster knows if he cheerfully tosses a ball out into the cosmos, that ball will be thrown back at him. It might be thrown back really hard, or it might be thrown back really crooked. Do you need a refill? I'm prepared for you in your refill ways. Speaking of tricksters. Avery, here. They already went outside. Ashlyn wants to be outside 24/7. Like, they have to drag her kicking and screaming in at night. Where was I? Okay, so the ball might be thrown back in a cartoonish hail of missiles, or it might not be thrown back until the middle of next year, but that ball will eventually be thrown back. The trickster waits for the ball to return, catches it however it arrives, then tosses it back out there into the void again, just to see what will happen. And he loves doing it because the trickster, in all his cleverness, understands the one great cosmic truth that the martyr, in all his seriousness, can never grasp. It's all just a game. A big, freaky, wonderful game, which is fine because the trickster likes freaky. It's his natural environment. The martyr hates freaky. The martyr wants to kill freaky, and in doing so, he often ends up killing himself. We can all get stuck in that seriousness, right? We can all make things so complicated and put heavy weights on things that don't need to be there. Goodness, what's the matter with you? There's very few mistakes that can be made that can't be undone. If you rush a decision, or you move somewhere and regret it, or go off with and create a relationship with someone and turns out, it was a terrible idea, most things you can backtrack and fix. And if not fix, you can still take off in a new direction. It's very rare that you can't fix a mistake. People used to, I was one of the only single parents when Morgan was a kid. And for a long time, I was the only single parent in her school. It was extremely strange. And when she hit 13 and started coloring her hair every 5 minutes, I got a lot of sideways criticism for that. But when you're dealing with adolescents and they need to create, who cares about hair? Hair grows back. She shaved her head twice. Which, that's not really a flattering look on anybody, but it grows back. So what? So they want to color their hair orange. Big deal. It'll grow back. Very few things can be fixed. Can't be fixed. Most things can be fixed. If it's something that's fixable, if it's something that can be undone, then just go do it. Yeah, exactly. Hi. Good morning. Hair is the least of your battles. Yeah, pick your battles and you let them create where they can create, or it's going to be worse. You're going to risk worse if you don't give that energy an outlet. The problem for us is we stop giving ourselves those same creative outlets. And when we do, things get really weird in a not fun way, a not good way. Thank you. I like them too. I like them a lot better than the other ones, the last ones. So, there's a lot of activity going on behind me, so let's see how far we can get into the next chapter. A good trickster move is the next one. I'm friends with Brené Brown, the author of Daring Greatly and other works on human vulnerability. I believe that you're probably... that would be a no. Brené writes wonderful books, but they don't come easily for her. She sweats and struggles and suffers throughout the writing process and always has. But recently I introduced Brené to this idea that creativity is for tricksters, not martyrs. It was an idea she'd never heard before. As Brené explains, hey, I come from a background in academia, which is deeply entrenched in martyrdom, as in, you must labor and suffer for years in solitude to produce work that only 4 people will ever read. I don't know how much you know about academic publishing, but it typically, unless it's some groundbreaking research, is not very widely read. Yeah. When Brené latched onto this idea of tricksterdom, she took a closer look at her own work habits and realized she'd been creating from far too dark and heavy a place within herself. She'd already written several successful books, but all of them had been like a medieval road of trials for her. Nothing but fear and anguish throughout the whole process. She'd never questioned any of this anguish because she assumed it was all perfectly normal. After all, serious artists... Do you want to go back outside? You want to go outside? I'll open that door for you. There you go. There you go, little miss. She'd assumed that serious artists... Yes, fly, be free. Fly, little chicklet. She's talking to herself. Yep, go get your ball. Let's see. When she tuned into the possibility of writing from a place of trickster energy, she had a breakthrough. She realized that the act of writing itself was indeed genuinely difficult for her, but that storytelling was not. It's cold here. They've got double clothes on. They were staying out till their noses started running, and then I was making them come back in, but then they were throwing tantrums. So it's been an in and out process. It's like 52 degrees outside. And she'll stay out there until you make her come in. Yeah. I'll be glad when it does get warm, but because she's so fair, we're going to have to watch her for overheating herself. I know. It's really cold. I have the heat cranked up because she has the door open. Can you hear her talking to herself? She's reading herself a book. Oh, really? Is it worse there? She's reading out of a little book. Yeah. It's a dramatic story. Let's see. Okay. Brene Brown realized the act of writing itself. Yeah, I think that's probably what she's doing. Yeah. I think she's just imitating. Yeah, not here either. Well, it came, Susan, and then it disappeared. Speaking of tricksters. It was like, hey, it's warm. And it was like, haha, just kidding. Okay. So, when she realized the act of writing was genuinely difficult for her, but that storytelling was not difficult, Brene is a captivating storyteller and she loves public speaking. She's a fourth-generation Texan who can string a tale like nobody's business. She knew that when she spoke her ideas aloud, they flowed like a river. But when she tried to write them down, they cramped up on her. Then she figured out how to trick the process. For her last book, Brene tried something new, a super cunning trickster move of the highest order. She enlisted 2 trusted colleagues to join her at a beach house in Galveston. Galveston's a city on the Texas coastline, to help her finish her book, which was under a serious deadline. She asked them to sit there on the couch and take detailed notes while she told them stories about the subject of her book. After each story, she would grab their notes, run into the other room, shut the door, and write down exactly what she had just told them while they waited in the living room. Thus, she was able to capture the natural tone of her own speaking voice on the page, much the way the poet Ruth Stone figured out how to capture poems as they moved through her. Then Brene would dash back into the living room and read aloud what she had just written. Her colleagues would help her tease out the narrative even further by asking her to explain herself with new anecdotes and stories, as again they took notes, and again she would go transcribe them. By setting a trickster trap for her own storytelling, she figured out how to catch her own tiger by the tail. Much laughter and absurdity were involved in this process. They were, after all, just 3 girlfriends alone at a beach house. There were taco runs and visits to the Gulf. They had a blast. I know. I didn't know that. I mean, that's brilliant. They had a blast, and the scene is pretty much the exact opposite of the stereotypical image of the tormented artist sweating it out all alone. But as Brene told me, I'm done with all that. Never again will I write about the subject of human connection while suffering in isolation. And her new trick worked like a charm. Never had Brene written faster, better, and never had she written with such trust. Mind you, this was not a book of comedy she was writing either. A light-hearted process doesn't necessarily need to result in a light-hearted product. Brene is a renowned sociologist who studies shame, after all. This was a book about vulnerability, failure, anxiety, despair, and hard-earned emotional resilience. Her book came out on the page just as deep and as serious as it needed to be. It's just she had a good time writing it because she finally figured out how to game the system. So in so doing, she finally accessed her own abundant. Yeah. Yes, the process is extremely fascinating. So she accessed her own abundant source of big magic by doing it that way. And that's how a trickster gets the job done. Lightly, lightly, ever lightly. And it's important to remember just life in general needs to be handled lightly. I am very prone to over seriously making things far more serious than they need to be, which is kind of ridiculous because I do like making people laugh. But then if it has any kind of importance to me at all, I can make it very heavy and very serious because I put too much responsibility on myself, and sometimes doing that will crush the heck out of your creativity too. Like if we, my friend Jen used to call it the weight of the world. Whoops, you all right? You okay? Look at this. Oh, she left. Look at this ridiculous mess. They haven't even been out there 5 minutes, and the backyard already looks like that. There's Cheerios everywhere in here already, too. We had a temperamental morning. And now I've messed up my tripod rig. So, oh, there's crushed Cheerios on the floor. Oh, crumbs to get back home. Yes, they are lining things up. Yeah. So, don't make, and this is, advice for myself too, obviously, just not to make everything so serious. Not to make everything such a big deal. If you catch yourself, who said that? That's good. It's safe to soften your grip. That sounds like one of Amelia's 1-minute mantras. It's safe to soften your grip. I like that. Actually, I'm going to write that down. And the only thing I have to write with is a super fat crayon. It's safe to soften your grip. I'm going to write that on the inside of this book jacket. What? Who said? Oh, thank God she closed the door. It's so cold. Are you going back outside? It's really cold out there. Toddlers don't care. 18 don't care if it's cold. They're going anyway. They're going on their adventures. They're not going to let a little cold, gray, potentially rainy weather stop them. It's a shame that we lose that, but we can get that back too. So, I'm going to call it quits while we're still in a quiet space rather than waiting for them to freak out like I usually do. I'm super sleepy, so I don't have a lot. Other than the stuff this morning, I don't have a lot going on in my head. Yeah. Seems like a good stopping point. We're about, 20 pages. We have about 20 pages left of this book, and then we'll start the Mind-Body Code. That's a really good book. I've been looking forward to getting started on that one. Doing this way is holding me accountable to actually finishing books, because I'm also prone to getting halfway through a book and getting distracted and not picking it up again for years. So you guys are making me actually finish these books, which is nice. So I'm going to go and thank you. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to see if I can find something entertaining enough inside, because these little, 50 seems like a little bit cold to be outside. Let me see if I can get this bed head for you. Well, I don't know if you can see her. Say bye.
Bye.
Wait, bye-bye. Wait, bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
Die-die.
Die-die.
So, die-die.
You wave bye-bye, Ashlyn? Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. What else do we
Bye-bye.
Die-die.
Bye-bye. Oh, can you see them, or am I just showing you the door? Die-die. I love when she says that.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, we'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Oh, there too. I just saw that.